Hello everyone, and welcome to my third ever sketchbook tour. So I'm going to be upfront with you guys and just say that the work in this sketchbook is not my best. There's a lot of art in here that I'm not very proud of, just due to multiple factors. One being I've been incredibly busy with work, as evidenced by the fact that I haven't uploaded anything in the past 3 or 4 months. I haven't really been able to draw much as a result, so I feel like during the times when I finally got to draw my sketchbook, I was very rusty and I lost motivation very quickly, and it didn't help that this sketchbook was just not something that I enjoyed working in, unfortunately. So I'm just gonna put that out there just to let you guys know. I'm probably gonna glaze over about 50% or more of the art in here just because it was not up to my usual standards. So this is the Plum Chester sketchbook. It is the sketchbook series or sketchbook brand by Art Snacks, which is the monthly art subscription supply. And I had bought this back when I still had my Art Snacks subscription. So as you can see, the start date was June of 2019. And I did take a break from the sketchbook about a fourth of the way through, and then decided to pick it up again, I think end of 2021. So it took about 3 years for this to completely be finished. So we'll just go ahead and get started. So when I first got the sketchbook, again, it was when I still had my Art Snack subscription, so I thought it'd be really neat to kind of swatch out the art supplies that I got through the monthly subscription with this sketchbook. Unfortunately, I found out very quickly that I think this sketchbook is marketed as mixed media, but it really only handles dry media. Anything that's wet media, it kind of just immediately absorbs into the paper and just didn't work well. And so I thought it'd be really cool to just kind of put the Art Snacks menu with each box in here and then kind of swatch things out. And then I also decided to do my Art Snacks monthly pieces in here, which didn't last that long because, again, this paper does not handle wet media that well. So we have a drawing of Grimjaw Jaggerjacks from the series Bleach. It's a series that I love very dearly. Would love to get back to it now that the series is finished. I did put it off because of med school and all of that, but hopefully one day I'll get back to it. This is actually one of the few pieces that I'm very proud of. So this is also another character from Bleach. This is Hitsugaya, probably one of my favorite characters. I actually really like the way that the shading turned out for this, especially in the robe. At the time, I think I was also watching The Promised Neverland, Season 1. This was our July 2019 Art Snacks, which featured Daniel Smith watercolors, which, as you can see, it does not really take well on this paper at all. It's very muted and just seems very washed out. Another piece from The Promised Neverland using the Daniel Smith watercolors. And then, as you could see, this paper just doesn't do well with wet media, so it kind of bled through the back and then also to the other side, so essentially rendering this spread unusable. And then the following month we got acrylic paint, which kind of did well on this paper. There's still some significant warping, but at least I think because it's not as wet of a media, it handled it better with the paper. And then September 2019, we got some paint markers as well as zebra mound liners, so I decided to do a fan art piece of Aqua from Kingdom Hearts. And then for October, or Inktober, we got some Copic markers. I ended up doing this piece in my ELO sketchbook at the time, and I did film a video for that, which I believe is on the channel. And then this was kind of when I took a break from the sketchbook just because I was getting so frustrated with working with it. I can't remember when I picked this sketchbook up again, but I basically was trying to go through all my old sketchbooks and just kind of go through them just to finish them and get them done and over with. I don't know how well my pencil sketches are going to show up with the camera, but these were 2 pieces of my original character, Sora. I had some Tombow markers that I had recently bought, so I wanted to swatch them out, especially because I feel like I don't really use them in my art pieces. I usually use them just for my journaling, so I just wanted to test out, how coloring with them, especially with like skin tones, would turn out. And then this piece was done, I think, like around January of 2022, so beginning of this year. So this is Yae Miko from the game Genshin Impact. At the time, I think her banner was coming out soon, and I was initially planning to pull for her, but then after testing her out in the trial, I found that her playstyle just didn't really jive with me. But I still really like her character. I love her color scheme. And this was done with Copic, I think it was Copic and Ohuhu alcohol markers. And then I had a pencil doodle of my OCKO. You'll find that there are a lot of pencil doodles in the sketchbook that I ended up kind of not finishing. A lot of these pieces I had the intention of going over with line art, and then I just quickly lost steam, and it just never got finished. So my OC Aru, and this was a quick piece of Kaya, also from Genshin Impact. You're going to see some Genshin Impact pieces in here because I play that game a lot. A Sailor Moon doodle, again, wanted to do line art and then just kind of lost steam halfway through and just never got back around to it. I was doing some facial expressions practice, and I think I was also trying out some alcohol markers from the Universe of Markers. I think this was from their mystery box, so just kind of testing that out here. More Genshin doodles, Kaya. I think this one was supposed to be Kaya and Child, who I had on my team at the time, and then just lost steam once again. More Kaya and Child, and then this was another piece that I believe I had filmed. This is Chongyun, also from Genshin Impact, and as you can see, I kind of swatched everything out just to see how the colors would look on the paper before testing it. And oddly enough, I feel like the Yae Miko piece that I did with alcohol markers did very well with this paper, but then for Chongyun, for some reason, as you kind of see, like top of his head, and then kind of around the periphery, there was just a lot of marker bleed through. Some pencil doodles, and then I had gotten a new Bic Gelosity pen that I wanted to try out because it was just a very inky pen, so I decided to just go over a quick sketch with that. Another Kaya doodle. This was actually a thumbnail for a piece that I have yet to line, which I have right here, which I'm hoping to one day finish. Basically, Kaya is the first character that I triple crowned in Genshin Impact. He's one of my favorite characters. Unfortunately, no longer play as him anymore, but I wanted to kind of do a piece kind of celebrating the fact that I triple crowned my first character in Genshin. And then I had a doodle of my OC Rain. A doodle of my OC Sora. I actually really liked how this piece turned out. I don't know if it's just the angle or the pose, but one of the few sketches that I was just like, oh, I actually really like the way it turned out, and I was actually afraid to go over it with lines out of fear that I was going to ruin it. More doodles of Sora. And then a doodle of my OC Lushu, and then of Denzel. More of Denzel. And then this is a doodle of Citri from Makai Oji, Devils and Realist. A really great series. I randomly had this like pang of nostalgia for this series, so the next two pieces are from that series. So here's another one of Citri, which I actually really like the way that it turned out. I went over this with just a standard fine liner or something. I think it was like my Sakura Micron pen, and then this was of Dantaleon, which I don't know, I just didn't like the way that it was turning out, so I kind of just started lining and then just gave up halfway through. But very good series, definitely recommend it. It's very short. I think it's 12 episodes of the anime, and then the manga series itself is finished. If you like series where it's just a pain train of feels from start to finish, definitely recommend it. Some doodles of Aru and Denzel. I wanted to compare the two kind of back to back just because when I was revamping my original characters, both of them I think stemmed from this I think, the same character, and then I just turned them into two separate characters, if that makes sense. So they have very similar qualities and aspects to them, so I just kind of wanted to put them back to back to kind of differentiate the two. And then I have a piece of Aru, more doodle pieces of Rain and Denzel. I can't remember what I used to line Rain. I don't think it was a fine liner just because of how thick it was. I might have just been playing around with one of my like gel pens or something. But Denzel's was definitely done by, I think, my Sakura Micron fine liner. And then this was when I got into my pen phase where I just wanted to do sketches with like a standard like Bic pen. I think I have one here. Yeah, so just a standard pen. Occasionally I'll just have these random art binges where I really feel strongly about using a certain art supply. In this case it was just regular ballpoint pen. So the next few pieces are just using that. And I feel like they're really good exercises just because you have to be really intentional with your lines because you can't really go back and erase. I don't know if these are gonna show up that well on camera, but this was when I finally got around to doing Ito's story quest in Genshin Impact. I really like his character, and I feel like Max Mittelman did an incredible job just being his voice actor. He's a really fun character to play as, so I had a few doodles of Ito here. More pen doodles. I tried to do some gesture and figure studies, but this is a really small sketchbook. It's, I believe, 6 by 6 inches, so there's not a lot of room to work in here. So I feel like my gesture studies were just very like cramped. Another doodle of Sora. I wanted to do a 2-page spread with both Rain and Denzel. I have yet to find a good skin tone marker for Rain, so I feel like I've just been experimenting with a lot of my darker like browns and skin tone markers, and I just haven't found a good one for him, unfortunately. More pen doodles of Denzel and Rain. And then I have one of Sora on the left, and then of Kao. For Kao, this background was colored in with a Sakura Moonlight Jelly Roll gel pen, which I recently discovered, and I just really like the matte finish that it has when it dries, and it's also kind of textured and slightly raised. So I thought that was just really fun to just use as kind of the background. And then when it dries, it also has like this very interesting texture to it that feels like the same as like an acrylic paint pen. So it's kind of like that rough texture. Another doodle of Sora, and then this is a quick fan art piece of Heizo from Genshin Impact. So this was when his character design was first announced, and I just really liked it, so I was like, oh, I'm just gonna quickly draw that. Another doodle of Ito. I've also been on a Kingdom Hearts binge and kind of rewatching people play the Kingdom Hearts series. So this is just a quick doodle of Roxas and Xion. More pen doodles where I just quickly lost steam, unfortunately, shortly after starting my drawings. Another failed anatomy or gesture figure study thing. And then I started drawing my OC Darius a lot. He was initially a closed species that I had done during like a make your own closed species event. The creator, I think, has since discontinued the species, so I've been trying to kind of revive him and kind of fit him into one of my OC storylines. Otherwise, he really hasn't been used that much. And I really like his design, so currently just working on kind of like fleshing out his character. More of Darius. And then again, more working up his character, trying to figure out an outfit for him. And then I used Prismacolor colored pencils here, which I don't know if it's just the paper or if this is how the colored pencils kind of work on any sort of paper, but I just feel like it looks just very grainy and not smooth. But I was just kind of working on his color scheme, which has already been fleshed out before, but I just wanted to see how it would look like with his new outfit that I've designed. More of Darius, Sora. I just really like drawing his hair. I feel like it's very fluffy, and I really like drawing long hair on my characters. More Sora, more Darius, nothing new. I actually really like the line weight that I did for this one with his hair. And this was a piece that I went over with ballpoint pen. I actually really like the way that this one turned out as well with the line weight and everything. At the time I was just not in the mood to be using my fine liner because those require a lot more precision and patience, and I just wanted to go over this piece with some sort of like lining, and I just didn't have the energy to use a fine liner, so went over it with ballpoint pen. Another doodle of Lushu. Another one of Lushu, and then some of KO. I actually really like the way that this chibi piece turned out. I was planning to line it and then once again just lost the motivation just because working in the sketchbook was just not enjoyable, unfortunately. More of Darius. I actually really like this piece as well of Darius. I think I had drawn this one with the intention of also going over it with fine liner or doing some sort of line art and just didn't have the energy for it. And I think at this point I was just so close to being done with the sketchbook that I just wanted to get through it and just finish it. So I didn't want to spend more time in it than I needed to. A quick drawing of Aru in his human form. And then finally the last spread. I wanted to do something a little bit nicer just because it was like the very last 2 pages of the sketchbook. Wanted to finish it off on a good note. So this is of my original character, Rain. And I just colored over it with, I think, my darkest Tombow marker. And so that kind of concludes the sketchbook tour. So again, this was the Plumchester sketchbook by Art Snacks. This is the 6x6 inch. It's 160 GSM paper, so it's fairly thick. But again, I personally didn't enjoy working with this sketchbook. I don't know if it's just because of the paper or the size, and then coupled with the fact that when I was drawing in here, I was very unmotivated. I was very rusty with my art. So overall, I think I was just trying to get through the sketchbook, unfortunately. But I'm looking forward to my next sketchbook. Hopefully that will be a more enjoyable experience. So we'll see. Thanks for sticking around if you've watched this entire time. I'm sorry that some of these sketches, or most of these sketches, were not the most interesting, but I feel like it's still important to show off a sketchbook even if the art in it is not the most pretty, just because with a sketchbook, that's all it is, just for sketches and just kind of getting your creativity out there on paper, even if not every piece is your best piece or that you're not very proud of. But anyways, enough rambling. Thank you guys again for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!